Hello everyone, welcome to Statesman.com. I'm Danny Davis with the high school sports department, and seated to my left is Brooks Kubena. He's our intrepid intern. He's been with us throughout this semester, a University of Texas student, correct?
That's right.
You might have seen his byline throughout the semester in the newspaper covering football games for us. Also did a story on a swimmer a couple weeks ago from Cedar Park. And throughout the year, he's also been broadcasting games on 91.7 FM Austin ISD football games every Thursday night, so I thought it might be fun to kind of have him on, talk a little bit about what he's seen so far this year. So, we'll start off with that. What just kind of stood out from you with the games you cover for us, the games you broadcast? What's like the one game that's kind of stood out for you?
Well, the one game, Danny, last week, Austin High and Lehman really sticks out in my mind because that game was 42-13 at halftime, and usually whenever you look at games that I've covered, a lot of them have been blowouts, but that's the way it looked like it was going. But Lehman surged back in the second half and took the lead on a 2-point conversion, and it almost looked like they were going to take that one and upset Austin High, who was trying to get into the playoffs. All right, looked like we were going to get into the playoffs now. Lehman comes back and storms in, and just the excitement of that game going through and the way it ended, Austin High coming back and then eventually scoring and winning the game, that's one that sticks out in my mind. But, I mean, there's been a lot of them, too.
Is Lake Travis the best team you've seen so far this fall?
I mean, talk about radio. Whenever you put them on the schedule on Thursday nights, if it's not Westlake and it's not Bowie, I mean, even if it's Bowie, you get a route, and that's no fun to have on the schedule. That's no fun to write about or to broadcast, and it just shows their dominance. They're so dominant. I mean, the only loss they have is against Waco Midway, and they didn't even have Dominic DeLira for it. And, I mean, you might call the Westlake game a little close just because it's 24-7. There's 13 sacks in that game. That's just their defense is just so good, and their heads and shoulders and waists and knees and ankles above everybody in 14-6A. It's just, they're so impressive.
Like we said, you've covered some games for us. You've done the radio thing. Is there a difference between calling the play-by-play and covering and keeping your own stats for us? I mean, what's the difference between a Thursday night for you and a Friday night?
Well, Thursday nights, it feels a little more immediate. Whenever you're writing, you're ready for it to come out tomorrow's paper. I mean, you're tweeting throughout the entire time. You're accumulating stats. You're looking for key plays. You're looking at how to analyze things. You look at it more in depth. Whenever you're calling on air on Thursday nights, it's immediate. You're calling every play. You're feeling kind of the emotion of the game in your work, and sometimes in print it's hard to throw that out there because you're not doing every single play. You're not a part of every drive, a part of everything. It's you get to call touchdowns. You know people are listening, and at that time it's very different in what you draw from it.
You grew into school at Houston Clear Lake. You played football there, so you kind of know the feeling of the whole Friday Night Lights and all that stuff. But was there anything this year that kind of surprised you about, I guess now you're on the other side, you're covering it, it's kind of a different viewpoint for you?
Being removed from it allows you to see other teams, and you're not as focused whenever you're playing. I think you don't see things like what's happened with Anderson a lot. I think being around with the Statesman and even calling some games for Anderson and showing up behind the scenes, being objective and looking at certain things, you look past and you look into their history, the last couple of 1-9 seasons, and then seeing the new coach come in and seeing things from the outside, you observe it. I mean, that's what surprised me, is because whenever you're a player, you look on the schedule and you see a team that's 3-6. You're like, well, that team, that doesn't look like that's going very well. But if you're paying attention from the outside, you're not going to practice every day, you're not lifting weights, you're not looking at film, and you can see from the outside perspective.
Awesome. Well, this intern Brooks, if you see him out at the games over the next couple of weeks, be sure to say hi. We're glad that we were able to give him a couple of good games to cover this year because, like I said, he goes to Texas, so he's not used to seeing good football. But
come on.
Thanks for watching our video, and we'll see you in the newspaper.
It was a low blow.